In today's video, we're talking all about Instant Pot hacks and some recipes for freezer meals, so you're not gonna wanna miss this. Let's go. Okay, so I've been a longtime user of my Instant Pot. In fact, I have 2 of them and I love them dearly. But I've heard from a lot of people that they have an Instant Pot in their closet that maybe they got on Black Friday or Prime Day or as a Christmas gift, and they've never used it and they're scared to use it. My friends, do not be scared. The Instant Pot is awesome. So today I'm gonna show you how to make an Instant Pot jambalaya that turned out delicious. This is a freezer meal, I highly recommend it. And then I'm also gonna make an Instant Pot lemon chicken with orzo that turned out really great as well. So let's go into the jambalaya recipe and then we'll share some of the hacks. All right, so for dinner tonight, I'm gonna make some easy Instant Pot jambalaya. And this was a freezer meal that I put together a few weeks ago. I pulled it out of the fridge last night and now it's ready to go. So this has a ton of great ingredients in it. It's got andouille sausage, chicken, bell peppers, tomatoes, lots of good seasoning. And the great thing about this recipe is that you really don't have to do much to it except literally just put it in the Instant Pot and then make some rice. So we're gonna go ahead and add that. Now sometimes what I like to do is if there's still some seasoning left over in the bag, I'll rinse it out with a little bit of water just to make sure I get everything, but that looks pretty good to me. And you don't really need to stir this, but you kind of just want to put everything in an even layer. If it needs to be incorporated, obviously stir it up. This is an 8-quart Instant Pot. I actually have 2 Instant Pots. I have a 6-quart and an 8-quart. I like having the larger one as an option because sometimes I'll make big batches of like chicken or turkey stock or even beef stock if I have beef bones. So I really like it for that. But for most normal size families and couples and single people, you can get away with the 6-quart Instant Pot. So I'm gonna lock the lid on. And then I just want to make sure that this valve is set to sealing and not venting. And then this is an older Instant Pot, so if you have a newer one, the interface is probably going to look a little bit different. But basically I'm going to push manual, and you want to cook this on manual, high pressure for 8 minutes, and that's it. After it's done, it will go to a natural pressure release. I'll probably let it sit for maybe like 10 minutes and then release the pressure. One thing I want to say about the Instant Pot is I feel like when it first came out several years back, people were actually under the impression that it was in fact instant. And I will tell you that it does take a while to come to pressure depending on what you have in the pot. If you have like a large volume of soup or stew or maybe a really big piece of meat, it is going to take some time to come to temperature or to come to pressure. So you definitely want to factor that in terms of your cooking time. That's one kind of like idiosyncrasy that I think most folks don't think about. It is a pressure cooker. Obviously it's just an electronic pressure cooker, not obviously like the pressure cookers that our moms and grandmas had that, you know, had the valves and cooked on the stove and exploded all over the kitchen. Instant Pots really are very safe. I've been using one for years and years and I've never had an issue. But yeah, it does take a little bit to come to pressure. So I'll just let that sit. And then I do have a little rice cooker. And so we're gonna use that to make some rice to go on the side of the jambalaya. Okay, so rice is just one of those things that a lot of freezer meals kind of call for to serve with. I have a cup of rice here. That's all I'm gonna make in my little rice cooker for tonight. You can also make rice in the Instant Pot. I've done that actually a lot and it turns out great. In fact, that's normally how I do make it, but since I'm gonna make a small batch, I'm gonna use my little rice cooker. So this is actually a little rice washing colander. Basically, you just kind of run water in here and drain it out. If you wash your rice before you cook it, it won't be as sticky. So I've got my washed rice in my rice cooker here. I'm just gonna pour in 1 1/4 cups of water and go ahead and put the lid on and then switch it to cook and it'll let me know when it's done. So I'm here in my pantry because I want to show you a few things. Along with the jambalaya, I wanted some kind of like cornbread or biscuit to go with it. I actually have a bag of this sweet corn cake mix, but unfortunately I don't have all the ingredients to make it. It actually calls for a can of cream style corn, which I don't have, so I'll save this for another day. But if I really wanted to make cornbread, I do keep cornmeal on hand so I could make it from scratch. However, I also have this bag of cheddar garlic biscuit mix that I actually found at Dollar Tree of all places. But things like this are just kind of some simple sides that you can keep on hand, especially if you're making like a soup or a stew in the slow cooker or the Instant Pot that's a freezer meal, something like this. And obviously like a veggie or a salad on the side really helps complete the meal. I also have a can of crescent rolls in my refrigerator right now, which I like to keep, and those make a great side for a lot of freezer Instant Pot meals as well. All right, so to make these biscuits, and these are just drop biscuits, I'm gonna go ahead and pour the mix into my bowl here. And then this calls for half a cup of milk, so we'll add that. And then 1/3 of a cup of shredded cheddar cheese. I may not have creamed corn on hand, but you know I always have some cheese on hand. So we'll add this. I'm just using pre-shredded. If I had some cheese that was freshly shredded, I would probably use that. This is a Danish dough whisk. I find it really useful for biscuits and bread and muffins and those types of things. So we're just gonna go ahead and stir this until it's combined. And then, like I said, since these are drop biscuits, we'll just bake them on a baking sheet. Which reminds me, I need to preheat the oven to 400. I've got a baking sheet here that I lined with parchment paper. You can see that this dough is super thick. It says to drop by tablespoonfuls, so I'm gonna use this little cookie scoop, which I don't really think I've ever used for drop biscuits before, so we'll see, but I do use it a lot when I make cookies. I'm just gonna put them, I don't know, maybe a couple inches apart. I'm not quite sure how much these are gonna spread because I've never made these before, so we'll see. But it says it makes 12 biscuits. And I'm kind of wondering if it might make a little bit more than that. Okay, so that actually made 15 drop biscuits instead of 12. Maybe I added too much cheese, who knows? We'll never know. All right, so I'm gonna wait for the oven to preheat and then I'll pop these in there. Okay, so here is our jambalaya. So typically what I like to do with like a big pot of like soup or stew or something like this is I'll remove some to a bowl and just let it cool down a little bit. That way I can taste it and decide if it needs more salt or any more seasoning. Okay, so here's the jambalaya. The seasoning was pretty much perfect on this. I just added a little bit more salt. This turned out so good. Another just great use of the Instant Pot, especially for a weeknight. This really didn't take long to come to pressure. I want to say like maybe 15 minutes or less. So overall it was a super, super quick meal. I just put some rice on the top and some green onion. You can add hot sauce to this. My husband was saying that normally when we make jambalaya, the rice goes in kind of with the liquid and it's not as soupy, so you could definitely stir it in there and eat it that way as well. But I'm super excited to eat this for dinner. If you want to do low carb, you can definitely use cauliflower rice as well. Okay, so one thing that some people don't know about the Instant Pot lid is that it is top rack dishwasher safe. Now the insert is dishwasher safe. In fact, mine is in the dishwasher right now. Obviously it's just stainless steel, so that's gonna be dishwasher safe. But you can put the lid of your Instant Pot in the top rack of your dishwasher. What I do is I take it apart before I put it in there. And so depending on what kind of Instant Pot you have, this might differ, but I just remove the valve from the top. And then I also just take the ring out. And then I put this in the top rack of the dishwasher as well, but I take it out so that I make sure everything gets clean. And then this particular one also has a heat guard on it, so I take that off as well. Now, regarding the ring, so a lot of people will say that after they cook something like maybe really strong or garlicky or something like that, like the ring will kind of start to smell a little bit. Some people, what they do is they just soak this in like a vinegar and water solution and they say that gets rid of the smell. You can actually buy replacement rings for your Instant Pot lid. You can get these on Amazon. So if for some reason, you know, you can't get the smell, or sometimes it stains, like if you cook tomato products. I haven't really had a problem with mine, but I did buy an extra one just in case, but just know you can obviously get replacements for those. There's also a lot of different accessories that you can buy for your Instant Pot. One of the ones that I use quite often is this rack, and most Instant Pots actually come with this. But what I normally use this for is hard-boiled eggs. It's really popular to make hard-boiled eggs in the Instant Pot. You probably have heard of like the 5-5-5 method, where you cook them on high pressure for 5 minutes, let it do a natural pressure release for 5 minutes, and then you put them in ice water for 5 minutes. But what you do is you put some water on the bottom, and then you kind of put your eggs on this trivet. Another thing that this trivet is good for is baked potatoes in the Instant Pot. So especially for freezer meal cooking, if you are, let's say you've made something in the slow cooker and you need a quick side, you know, maybe you can do some baked potatoes in the Instant Pot after you get off work. So that's definitely an option as well. I also really love to make mashed potatoes in the Instant Pot. I just think that it's super quick and easy. That goes as a really good side dish for a lot of freezer meal recipes. And the best thing too about making mashed potatoes in the Instant Pot is that the Instant Pot has a keep warm function, so you don't have to worry about your mashed potatoes getting cold like you would if you made them on the stove. It's super convenient. The other thing that some people are not aware of is that these little tabs on the side of the lid here are actually holders for the lid. So they kind of just plug in to that right there, and that helps hold the lid up. I've had people comment on my videos before that they saw me doing this and they never knew that they could do that with their Instant Pot lid. So I always like to point that out just because a lot of people don't know that. So this one actually has 2 different tabs, so you can kind of put it either way. Another thing I want to mention regarding the lid especially is pay attention to the steam valve. So especially if you are cooking kind of in a kitchen like mine where you've got cabinets up here, you definitely want to make sure that you don't have the steam valve under the cabinets, because even if you're not releasing the steam, sometimes steam will escape a little bit and it will take the finish off your cabinets, and you definitely don't want that. So normally what I do is I just turn my Instant Pot around so that the steam valve is kind of out and away from the cabinets, because you definitely don't want to ruin your cabinets. Another really important thing about Instant Pot cooking is that you always want to make sure you have at least half a cup of liquid in the Instant Pot, or it will not come to pressure. So you need some kind of liquid in there in order for the electric pressure cooker to be able to come to pressure and create that steam that's going to cook your food along with the pressure. So one thing that people will say often, sometimes when you're cooking with tomato-based products, and I don't know why this is, I've never been able to figure it out, but a lot of times you'll get like what's called a burn notice. And that just means that the bottom of the pot is, whatever's in your pot is burning to the bottom of the pot. And so just make sure that you always have at least a half a cup. Sometimes I put even up to a cup of water in there, just to make sure you avoid that burn notice. And if you're cooking with tomato products, I usually don't have a problem with chili just because it's a little more liquidy, but sometimes with a thick tomato sauce, I like to add just a little bit of extra water to it to try and avoid that burn notice. Another thing that I often use my Instant Pot for, in fact, it's one of my favorite uses, is to make rice. I am one of those people that struggles with making rice on the stovetop, and the fact that I can just throw everything into the Instant Pot and put it on the rice function and let it go and it comes out perfect every time is really appealing to me. I also just love that you can cook everything in one pot, right? So especially with this recipe coming up that I'm going to show you with this lemon chicken with orzo, the pasta cooks right in the liquid along with the chicken and everything. So you're minimizing the number of dishes you have, right? Anytime you can have a one-pot dinner, definitely fabulous and something that is a huge time saver. Okay, so for dinner, I am going to make this lemon orzo chicken freezer meal. So I thawed this out. In this bag, I've got 2 big chicken breasts, some chicken broth, some onions, some seasoning, lemon juice, and then 1 lemon that is sliced up in there. So we're just gonna add this all to the Instant Pot. Oh, and some butter as well, I forgot that. And then I just kind of wanna make sure that everything is in an even layer. And then before I lock the lid in place, I'm going to add 1/3 cup of some orzo pasta. So what you wanna do is just kind of sprinkle this over the liquid in the Instant Pot as best you can. And we're not gonna stir it. We just kind of want it to sit on top and cook. But I am just gonna make sure that all of the orzo is submerged in the broth. And if you're not familiar with orzo, it is pasta, but it's actually shaped like rice. It's a rice-shaped pasta. It's good in kind of like creamy sauces where you want it to kind of taste like a creamy rice or a risotto. So now that we have that in, I'm just gonna go ahead and lock the lid on and make sure it's set to sealing. And then we are gonna cook this for, we're gonna pressure cook on high for 6 minutes. Push start. Okay, so I went ahead and took the lid off. This is the lemon orzo chicken. So what I'm gonna do now is just remove the chicken to a bowl over here. And then we're gonna shred that up. Okay, so I went ahead and shredded up the chicken. I'm gonna return it to the pot along with the pasta. And I also discarded all of the lemon slices because that would be kind of difficult to eat. So let me stir this up. This is also the point where you would add fresh spinach, but I don't have any and I'm not gonna add any, so I'm just gonna leave it out. But I am gonna add about, I don't know, 1/4 to 1/3 cup of shredded Parmesan cheese, and we'll give that a stir. And this is looking a little bit runny to me, so what I'm gonna do is just whisk up some cornstarch and some water. I'm gonna put this on the saute function, and we'll go ahead and just thicken it up a little bit. So in this measuring cup, I just got about a tablespoon of cornstarch mixed with some cold water, and I'm gonna go ahead and add that. You can really do this with any recipe if you want it a little bit thicker, and then we'll just heat this up until it thickens and then season it to taste. All right, so here is our completed lemon orzo chicken. I just garnished it with a little bit of lemon. It turned out really, really good. I do think you could put a little bit more orzo in there, but I did thicken up the sauce, and obviously the ratio of chicken to orzo is high, and that's okay, but the flavor is really, really good if you like lemon chicken, and definitely a perfect example of like a one-pot meal that you can make in the Instant Pot. Okay, so I wanna know in the comments below, are you an Instant Pot user and how much do you love it? Are you not an Instant Pot user and are you thinking about using your Instant Pot now? If you're interested in more Instant Pot freezer meals, we have a ton on the FreezerFit website. So if you want to find out what all of that is about, we'll have a link in the description box below. If you want to take a free freezer meal class, you'll get a free cookbook. But the Instant Pot is definitely one of my favorite tools in the kitchen. As a busy working mom, I would say I use mine at least once a week, if not more. So thank you guys for being here. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.